Welcome to Facing the Nation for March 7, 2025. It has been a bit, but we're here today, nevertheless. And, as every time we have a show, there is a lot to be discussed, a lot happening, and today is no different. Today's program, we want to focus on, or I should say, we want to give a tribute to Guyanese women. As you know, tomorrow, March 8th, which is usually International Women's Day worldwide, we will be celebrating same. So today's program is geared to that celebration, and we will be doing discussions along that line. But of course, before I get into the program, we talk about the guest for today. I want to urge you to call up a friend, call up a neighbor, and tell them that Facing the Nation is on. It is on all of your social media platforms, the People's National Congress Reform page on Facebook, APNU AFC page on Facebook, the APNU page on YouTube, and we are live, and as well we're on channel 6 on your local channel in Guyana. So I want you to urge you to call up a friend, call up a neighbor, and tell them Facing the Nation is on, and today you can't afford to miss this program. Today's program, as I said, we will be focusing on Guyanese women and their contributions, and to really talk about issues facing Guyanese women as we celebrate International Women's Day. Before I elaborate some more, I want you to know that today, for my guest, we are expecting MP Coretta McDonald, MP Nima Flu-Beth, and our executive members, Miss Robin Simon and Miss Joan Ramsindo. So I want to start out with Miss Robin Simon, who has already joined us. Today's program, they will be coming in at intervals and we will discuss the issues. But as I have Miss Simon on, I'll pull her up on the screen as we continue this discussion today. Welcome, Miss Simon. You need to
Good
unmute your
afternoon.
mic.
Yes, please. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon to you, my darling.
And
Let's
it
see.
is a privilege to have you here on Facing the Nation today as we talk about Guyanese women and their contributions and the issues facing Guyanese women in this current day, 2025, a new era, oil and gas and all that is happening. The theme for this year International Women's Day is it's accelerating action. And as you can imagine, this is the worldwide team, and we understand what is happening as well in the context of Guyana. And I believe this team is noteworthy because there is a lot happening and there is a need for more action. Less talking and more action, I believe, is what we would want to have. I also see MP Nima Flu-Beth coming in as well. Welcome. I'm not hearing her. Maybe she's having a little technical issues. Of course, to our viewers, all of our women today are women who are doing different things. So that's why they will be coming in and we'll be having these discussions that way because we know they're doing a lot as and still looking to contribute to the program today. So I want to start our discussion as you know, as I said, there are a lot of things happening um, in Guyana as it relates to women. Um, I think you're 1 second. Could my technical team check with MP? She's saying she's having an issue. All right. All right. Yes. So there are a lot of things happening currently in Guyana as it relates to women and what is happening. But before we get to that, you being my guest today, you are a woman in politics. You are a woman who has put yourself out there to be a voice for the people, not just women, but the people of Guyana. And of course, in doing so, there are many challenges and benefits as well to that, I'm sure. And as this discussion begins, I want to gear our conversation for you to tell us a little bit about, how you feel about being a representative of the people, being a woman in Guyana as it stands right now and all that is happening, and the challenges that you face and the ups for you.
Good afternoon once again, Shanika, and good afternoon to the viewers. Thank you for tuning in, and thank you for joining us all in all. Shanika, as a woman, a beautiful young lady, coming from a long line of women who played a part in struggles and the development of Guyana. I am not, there is no part of me that is sorry for taking steps and using my voice to assist in making a difference. It's something that I've seen, I grew up with, and a lot of challenges that we face as a family, from my sister being victimized because she was also a member of the PNC party, Karen Elliott, back there in sometime in 94, when she was fighting for Bureau of Standards. Then you have my other sister, Morna Pritikin, who was a member of parliament. She also had, she also faced with, she was indeed um, involved in all of the protests where she ran from bullets and dodge and back in those days. Then you had my mom who also and my grandmother who also gave their home to politics, the dealing with the growth and struggles of the people of this country. The home was used for that. And then there was my also my other grandmother, Beryl Simon, God rest all of my grandparents' soul, Celine, and all of them, Yaptik, and who was also former mayor of Georgetown. They have all played a part in struggle,
Mm.
fighting for the right cause and the right causes of life, things that are happening in Guyana, in and around Guyana, especially our Guyanese women. And I came through that line. So that is in my DNA, using my voice, my platform, the challenges that I'm facing, the excitement of being a part of growth. I look past all of it to make sure that our women are safe, they can relate to us, we can understand, I can understand what is happening, I can help in whatever way I can. And that is one of the ups for me. Basically, that's the up for me being able to assist and reach out to our women of today. So that is where it is going, or it has gone, or the beginning for me, on the whole, as a young lady living in Guyana.
You know, you talked about the ups, and a lot of times we see different things being put out about different persons, and I will venture into that part. I mean, in this political party, we have had lots of women who would have suffered um, many forms of victimization at the hands of our opponents for simply representing what they feel is the right cause and the cause for all Guyanese, whether male, female, Christian, Hindu, Muslim, in this fight. And there are still many of those. Miss Carol Smith Joseph is currently being placed before the court for so many things that they are unable to, solidified or come to. And we had many women as well, even before her in the party, who would have been locked up at some time, and all of those things. And she's been in the party for more than 50 plus years and have endured and still is here, still fighting for the rights of all of Guyana and not just some. And here you are stepping into this part of politics in the more open front recently in your fight to or to give voice to an issue that was happening, and you were charged and you are currently still before the court dealing with a charge of terrorism simply because you called out the actions of the Guyana police force in the Mr. Bacchus case. And you are there still dealing with that and doing the things that you do. Give us a thought, a feel about how that was. And I know that you spent your 72 hours in the lockups as well, particularly with this case. And how was that? How did it make you feel? And why, after going through all of this and still being before the court, that you are still able to push the way you are?
Now, before I go deep into this, let me say to the viewers, first of all, yesterday was Quindon's birthday,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a bit a slow day for the family. I want to say shout out to the mother of Quindon Bacchus and father of Quindon Bacchus, and to the young ladies who came out and started the protest, because it was not only Robin Simon. The protest started
Correct.
before Robin Simon got there by a group of young ladies who were all Quindon Bacchus's friends, and also one young man by the name of Ray Ray Lilly, as we all know. But Quindon could have been my son. And when you grow up in an environment where your family or your surroundings is always being there for the people, it's only natural that the good side of you or your instinct, something is gonna kick in at the time that will make you want to stand up. The Guyana police force was trying to cover the murder of Quindon Bacchus. Now remember, Quindon Bacchus came from a woman. He has a family. And I want you all to also remember that Quindon was not given an opportunity to reform his life. That was taken away from him by the people who were supposed to protect him, the people who were supposed to protect us. So when the young lady started the protest and I joined the protest, it's something that was only natural for me. When I was charged, when I turned myself in and I was charged, and they took me to La Penitence police station and I spent my 72 hours. It was hard for me because I was removed from my a comfort zone, so placed in an area that Quindon should have been in. He should have been in the lockup. So when I was placed there, it gave me time to reflect and think about this entire situation. I was embarrassed. I was humiliated as a woman. I could not have taken a proper shower because of the conditions of the facility. I could not have eaten because of how depressed I was in that time, which in it gave me an opportunity to pray a little harder. And I was faced with placed in a position where I was given a chance or an option. You choose because you sound your voice and you cried out for help, and you cried out because of victimization, or someone that was he was not given a chance. He was murdered by a guy in the police force, elements within that force. I was given an option to choose whether I should continue to be silent or I should continue to voice my concerns about the things that are facing the citizens of this country. So I choose to voice my concern. That was a choice I made to step into that protest because somebody had to do it. It had to be done, whether we like it or not. So fighting for Quindon, I will do it again. I will never leave the side of any woman, any person, any mother's boy, girl, child, young man who I feel they have been victimized, and I can play a part. I will continue to do it. Facing the court is a humiliating factor as well, because every time you go, it's hard for us. Every time you go there, if the case is either put forward, put off, and then you have to listen to some of the police officers who are giving evidence against us, saying all sorts of things, knowing that this is a life that was taken, and they're trying to justify their actions for putting us away because we protested. It was good we protested for Quindon, but it was bad at the same time because why? We did not apply to protest. So it's challenging to explain how I feel. I would be lying, but to put that feeling in a nutshell, it is the most humiliating, devastating. It is a hurt I cannot really explain, and it is putting a damp on your life because you can't do certain things. And I think that is what the PVP government wants us to do, is they want to shut us down so that we do not further go on in standing up for justice for our citizens. And it's a case I will not leave. I will not leave the side of the parents until this case is closed.
Thank you so much. So I have with me joining MP Nima Flu Beth. Welcome.
Nice to be here. I hope you're hearing me. Good afternoon,
Yes,
everyone.
Good
we're
afternoon,
hearing
sis.
you clearly. Good. And we
Mhm.
also have Ms. Joan Ramsindo, one of our central executive members of the People's National Congress Reform. Welcome.
Good afternoon, Shaneika. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you.
All right. So, on the same note that I've had this little discussion that I started with Miss Simon, I want to go to MP Flubeth. I know she said she does not have the whole period with us, so I want to get her thoughts in. Now, as I said at the start of the program, this year's theme for International Women's Day is Accelerate Action. And I know that you are one of those women who are out there always representing the people of your constituency, the people of Guyana, wherever the need be. You're one of those persons that is there, willing, and able to represent. And many times people see us and they don't understand, and there are challenges and there are different things happening. But I want us to talk a little about you for a second. You have stepped into this realm where you are officially a representative of the people, just like your show says, right? You're a representative of the people, and you have been doing that job. And I know in these positions there are challenges and there are plus to it. Um, talk to us a little about your challenges and what do you hold as your motivation for continuing the fight and pushing through.
Thank you again for having me on your program. I want to say happy International Day to our lady, all the women. I know tomorrow is our day where we celebrate and have the different activities to observe all week. Persons have been doing so. As a woman, first of all, it is a challenge when you have to balance your family. I have a family. I have a second job, and I take those very seriously because instilling values and working with children is not something that I take very lightly. And also, I also now have the responsibility of representing the people of Guyana. I take great pride in doing so because, like when I listened to my comrade just now, Robin spoke, I empathize with what she was saying because I can relate to the many struggles that we face ever so often. As a parent, I wouldn't want to experience losing any of my children in the way Quindon Bacchus lost his life and the struggles his parents and families and friends and community have to go through. I know it's not something easy. And as a parent, I would have had my experiences with my children, being hospitalized, things happening to them. And I could tell you about the emotional distress you go through as a parent when you have to go that much as to the extent of losing, a child is not something that I would want to experience. And so I empathize with Quindon's Bacchus family and those who would have lost loved ones tragically through a system that is not fair to us. The challenges that we have so often is the system, is systematic, representing people. You have to go through different systems, for example, social service. You would have the seniors having to get their pension book or to get some service, and they have to go through all these ordeals that you have to deal with every day. And I find that to be challenging. However, I am motivated at the fact that we can make a difference. It takes one person to make a difference. So, regardless of the challenges that we see in front of us, and the biggest of all is the current administration, because we have on paper and on record systems that can work. The democratic processes that we have, be it through the local government system and all of that, but we recognize that this regime constantly overlooks the systems that are in place and try to put in their own system that suits them so that they can achieve their goals. So my main challenge as a politician would be the systematic approach that faces our people ever so often in receiving services, in being able to do the things that they have to do. But being in a position to represent people, to stand up for people, to be a voice for the voiceless is important. Even as we observe this International Women's Day, for me, I am reflecting on the women at Caneview, those single parent mothers, um, those girls who would have gone through the traumatic ordeal of looking at them losing everything. We know that women always try to make ends meet. And I know that those women would have for years make ends meet to develop their homes, to have get their families comfortable, and then to sit and look at all go down in the drain. You could imagine the emotional distress and discomfort that they continue to experience. I've looked at other women having nice, a lot of size and moving down to losing so much weight in a short time. I myself experienced that. Losing that amount of weight in a short time. And you understand the impact the stress could have on you. And so I think about the women of Sarah Johanna that would have experienced the horror of having their personal belongings destroyed. And I think about that mother with the four girls, correctly remember them? In Sarah Johanna there. I think about that woman who would go and catch guano. That's how she survives. She catches guano, sell them on the roadside, and have to raise money so that her girls can go to school. I mean, when you look at all these different challenges, it gives me motivation to fight because I know as a woman, we have a special gifting to stand up. I think God really made us special. When people would see that, it's not going to happen, and we know that we can all relate to that. We always come up with a possibility or trying something else to make ends meet. And I will use the regular term that the old people would use. You cut a corner here, cut a corner there, and you make it happen. And so we're very privileged to be in this group. And I will continue to represent the people. And I want to encourage all women, let us stand up. I personally believe that the women could cause a dramatic change in Guyana if we unite together. And
Thank
I
you
pause
so
there.
much. Thank you so much. And it can tell we can tell by your statements just now. We were talking about you, but you had to speak on the issues because it is just natural for you to want to deal with the matters that touch or helps to safeguard other persons. I see MP Coretta McDonald joining us now. Welcome to the program, MP. I think you're muted. All right. I'm sure she'll get to us. Miss Joan Ramfindo, let's talk with you a little bit on the same length. As I said, I want to talk to the women here about them today for a few before we get into talking about the other issues. Ms. Ramfindo, you again, you're here. You are a representative
Oh, I'm
of the
there.
people, and particularly those in Region 1 as well. I know that you do a lot of work in that region to help persons, not just women, but persons generally in that zone and out here as well. Let us talk in the same light. How does it feel to be a part of a movement where you're able to represent the people, and what do you see as some of the negatives in your case, and how do you overcome it? I
I didn't
believe.
get the last part, Shanika. Anyhow, good
Go ahead.
afternoon to the viewers. I must say thanks to Shanika to bringing me on to this program. As a woman, I always look at Tyrus Riley's song. Is woman it's gone again. If God was a woman,
Strength of a
Mhm.
or
woman.
it's like we as women have a lot of challenges in all aspects of our life. However, I thank God that we're blessed with something extra that helps us to overcome the challenges. Now, as a leader in the political arena, I'm happy to be there because I will be able to educate women in the different levels. As a teacher, as I was, it was my greatest pleasure in dealing with the young females in the classroom, the young girls in the classroom, and also with the mothers, trying to help the young mothers in guiding them in how to raise their children in terms of moral values. It was a
Mhm.
pleasure in doing that. Are you hearing me?
Yes, so we're hearing you. We're not seeing you, but
Um,
we're hearing you. You can go ahead.
yes, Shaniko. I enjoy doing women's advocates because of the disadvantages that have been mailed out to us. from early ages. We women, it says that, traditionally, women are seen as caregivers, nurturers, homemakers, and helpers. And that is what happens most of the time. We are not looked as a species of being part and parcel of all other in the academic, in the professional ways, which is wrong. In my way, I try to encourage women to know that we have the same qualities like men. We can do things like the men, and sometimes even better.
All right. Thank you, Miss Ramsindo. Miss MP Coretta, you're okay now. We can see you and can hear you. Welcome
Thank you
again
so much,
to
Shanika. I
Facing
was
the
busy
Nation.
speaking and not remembering that I did not unmute myself. Um, I want to extend Happy International Women's Day to you, the panel, and to all the women in Guyana. I feel honored to be amongst this set of women. And as we celebrate International Women's Day, we must remember the kind of influence we have. And we were blessed with a spirit of boldness because you know what? When we look at the challenges that women have to face, as a woman, you carry a child in your stomach, in your womb for 9 months. As a woman, you have a menstrual cycle every month that gives you cramp and belly aches and headache and all kinds of feelings. As a woman, you have to be there to nurse a baby, to make the porridge, to cook the food, to wash the clothes. You're a professional woman and you're a housewife, and you're a teacher, and you're a lawyer, and you're a doctor, and you're a this, and you're a seamstress, and every single thing. And as a women, I know that when God created us, He created us with a special touch. And that is why I salute women every single day. And as I sit and I'm hearing Nima talking about Cane View and Sarah Joanna, and I'm remembering the women at an heartless government flooded at night. I sit here and I remember Robin Simon, who had a charge trumped up against her. You know, and when I see Robin after that, and the additional boldness that that would have given her, I have no other choice but to support our women. And even as I reflect on some of our modern day women, I want to pay homage to some of our more matured women whom we have learned quite a lot from, and it is on their shoulders that we are standing today. I want to pay homage to Ormelia Johnson, Volda Lawrence, Amna Ali, Viola Burnham,
Mhm.
Janet Jagan, Winifred Gaskin, Carol Smith Joseph. I mean, every single in them. And they have their own unique way of making things happen. And to them I want to say hats off to you. And I don't want to get into trouble, but I have to remember one of our educated too, Cheryl Sampson, and so many other women around the party within the education sector, the late Genevieve Whitened, but all of these women, when we look the same way, we are being stifled in one way or the other. We're quite a lot of male folk. I don't know if they feel challenged, but they have sought to undermine in one way or the other the progress of women. And you know what is disgusting is that we as women sometimes we join in pulling each other down. I'm hoping that today and tomorrow, which is officially International Women's Day, that we are going to purpose in our hearts to fix the crowns of our queens, to fix the crowns of our princesses, and to be there to shoulder each other and to rally around each other. Of course, when we go wrong, we are going to highlight those wrongdoings. But we must be there as women to champion the rights of every woman. I'm here on the Essequibo Coast, and I figure you might be getting there.
You're breaking up a bit now. We're not hearing you, MP. All right.
Oh, wow.
Yes, now we're hearing you again. And you're off again. I believe it may be a little of the internet connection. Maybe you need to go closer to wherever you're getting the internet from. Um, Unmute and let me see if we can hear you again.
Are you hearing me again?
Yes, we're hearing you again.
Yes, so I'm saying I'm on the Essequibo Coast, and I couldn't help but notice an educator, Jennifer Taylor. She was the head teacher of Abram Zul Secondary School. This secondary school was rebuilt. All of the systems were put in place while the coalition was in office. And this school was rebuilt under the coalition. But you know what? The PPP government had the opportunity to declare open this school. This school being rebuilt as a state-of-the-art school, she was denied the opportunity of heading that school. And it's for several reasons, but one of them, the reason is because she's a woman. She was denied that opportunity. But you know what? Hats off to Jennifer Taylor, because she would have instilled values in hundreds of students along the Essequibo Coast. To our teachers, our women, our female teachers along the Essequibo Coast, and to encourage all of us as women.
Your internet is a little bad. Maybe if we subtract the video, it might help. With us getting better sound from you. I'll give you a moment. Um, MP Flubes, I know you have to leave us. I just wanted to say, because I did not even know that Miss Ramsindo was a teacher during her younger years. We're sitting here with a panel of teachers. I taught for 5 years myself, and every other person sitting here on this panel were teachers as well. And I guess that says something about the people who engage in, representing people, and, why we must respect our teachers. Um, at, at any given time, um, in these cases, because I did not even know that. MP Flubeth, there are many things happening, and I just want to have your comment before you head out to continue doing what you are doing. Um, we have you started talking about Kin View and Sarah Joanna, and we know we've had so many issues. I have no footage of what is about to happen in Pleasance, and women crying out about how the things that the PPP is doing is affecting them. We have a woman chancellor and chief justice who have gotten an agreement, at least an agreement was given by the leader of the opposition, who is constitutionally the person who should consult with the president to make sure that those appointments are filled. And that was done. And we do not see any move from the government to solidify their position. And sometimes it begs you to wonder if it's, is it because they're females? Is it because they are females who look a particular way? What is it? Or why is it that after having the constitutional side completed with the president and the opposition, that no move is made? And we see all these things happening in our country with women. What are your thoughts on that as I allow you to leave us to do what you need to do?
Thank you again, Shanika. I'm privileged to sit among all these teachers, these educators here. And I guess you noticed something about being an educator. We're very vocal. Um,
Mhm.
and we always have to stand up. And I guess the experience of being in the classroom and
Mhm.
having to stand up for your students in the classroom or your pupils in the classroom gives us a plus at where we are so that we can continue to speak on behalf of the voiceless. When all that keep coming to my mind when you speak about all these things that are happening in society with people on appointments of women and all of that, it come back to what I've said in the beginning. Our main challenge is the system. And the question is, what are we willing to do to change the systems that
Mhm.
continue to oppress us? What are we willing to do as women to change the systems that continues to oppress us? As you spoke, I even thought about this cost of living. The
Mhm.
cost of living crisis in the country mostly affects the women because if you have your husband or your spouse or whoever, they just give you whatever money you're supposed to get for the month, the week, or the fortnight. And it is the women who actually faces the market. A few men go to the market, but mainly the women are the ones who goes to the market and face the prices and have to stretch the dollars because the dollars ain't gonna double up. Because we know, the men might want to have you explain why you got to get extra money in such a short time. But we're the ones who go to the market. We're the ones who have to deal with the prices. And the question is, what are we doing about it? I mean,
Mhm.
yes, we talk about it, but I'm quite sure there are more things we can do as women um, to bring about the necessary change that we would like to see when it comes to cost of living. We have to find a lot of money to take care of our families, and you know how it is with the money is coming, so we have to stand up. Non-appointments, we see the foot dragging, the disrespect even in our parliament, the blatant disrespect for women. And again, what are we willing to do as women to stand up for that? As a team says, this year is action, right? Take action. Isn't that so,
Accelerate
Tanika?
action.
Accelerate
Accelerate
action.
action. Mhm.
How are we accelerating action to ensure that we don't continue to suffer in the system that oppresses us? There are many things we can do. We can speak out, we can protest, we can do so many things. Stand up, we can start different campaigns, we can network with our women, and I'm quite sure that we can make all of that possible by using our skills and our talents that we so effectively can use to bring about the necessary change to accelerate the action needed so that we can have equality and equity in our country when it comes to women. So I want to say to our women, there are many things we can do. Let us continue to be a united force to deal with. As I said before, I personally believe that the women in Guyana can bring about the change that is necessary, radical change that is necessary. So when we see all these abusers walking around freely as though there's no care in the world, if we learn to network together as women, trust me, the abusers will get quiet. They will think twice. Because when women come together, we know what can happen. Historically, we see what one woman could have done, what many women could have done, would have done to bring about the change. And I trust that we can continue to network together, get our women involved. We have those who might be struggling. Yes, we can support and encourage them, but I am quite sure we can bring about the change needed in the systems that continue to oppress us as women in society. and make the difference. I trust that my contribution have been valuable enough to this discussion. Hats off to you, Sister Robin.
Yes, it has been definitely. And of course, I want to thank you again for taking some time to join us in this discussion. And I do believe that your contribution has been heard and is valuable. Thank you so much. All right. So, as we continue this discussion, I want us to, as I started out with MP Flubes there, we talk about all these issues occurring within the country. I raised the issue of the Chancellor and Chief Justice. We see domestic violence is taking a turn for the worse. We recently saw a young lady who lost her life um, because it was
I'm not
taken
hearing
by her
anything.
partner, who is now claiming self defense after putting not one, not two, not to the foot, not anything of that nature, but 12 bullets in her body, the mother of his child, and now is claiming self-defense. And I know many are waiting to see what will happen in um in that case. But we have seen so many incidents in this country, and as the team says, we need to accelerate the action. We have been doing a lot of talking as a nation, but I am saying that at this stage, we have to be doing more in terms of action in these cases. And if I may say this before I bring you in, I will say this without any bones about it. I believe personally the only way that we can come to that place where we take these matters seriously and we deal with
I
them the way that
adjust,
we
please.
should deal with them is when we get rid of a government who generally cares nothing about the ordinary people of a country. These matters do not affect them, quote unquote, their friends and their family. And when there are situations where it does, because they have the money, they have the ear of somebody, they do what is necessary. But the ordinary people do not have a voice in these issues to deal with this matter. And it is my humble opinion the only way that we can deal with this matter, we can see policies put in place to ensure that nobody will take God out of their thoughts to just get up and do these things at their will, is when you have a government who believes in planning and putting policies in place and putting action and ensuring that the ordinary people, their calls, their cries are heard and looked after. So at this stage, I want us to comment on these issues, domestic violence that women are facing every single day in this country. We hear of these issues on the news, and let's talk about it. I'll take Miss Simon, and then I'll go to Miss Coretta, MP Coretta. Sorry.
First thing, Shanika, we have to unite. We have to unite as a people, as women. We need to have a covenant, something we stand for. If we do not stand for something, we are going to fall for nothing. That's the first thing. And all of the challenges that women are facing, ordinary women are facing in this country, most of it is happening because the government has no respect. This sitting government, the PPP government, has no respect for women, especially those women who are poor. Their family, their friends, their favorites, they benefit, they enjoy, they cooperate, they interact, they mingle, they do everything that is for the government. If you're not supporting the government, you do not stand a chance of elevating this country as a woman. So that covers everything. So we need to connect and unify become one to move ahead with this with whatever we plan to do as women. The second thing is when it comes to domestic violence. I let me give you an example. There was a period in my life when I was in an abusive relationship at some point in my,
Mhm.
and abuse begins somewhere. It starts somewhere. It's either spiritual, physical, emotional. It begins somewhere. I was more in the physical type of abuse. I've experienced that type of abuse. One thing that I can say to you is that when it starts, there is a period you call the apology period, where
Mhm.
either you're being abused by male, the young man, or by a woman, because men do suffer abuse too. But there is that apology period where I can say for me, I find it to be sweet. And then you have the fact that women have to deal with the fact that you have kids. You would not, especially if you have daughters, you don't want them to see you changing partners or coming up with another man or be with another man to man to man. That is one
Mhm.
thing too that allows you to settle. Then you have the fact that you're dependent, you're depending on this young man or this young woman. In my case, let's talk about the man. You're depending on this young man for love, finances, security, your job. You're not making as much money as he is. So you become a dependent. So you accept all of these things that are being dealt to you. But there comes a point that you will eventually shut down. Like my case, I eventually shut down and I had to get out of it because it was getting worse to a point where you would have seen marks on my skin. And that came from the fact that I was settling because I did not want to go out there find a better job. I did not want to let my daughter see me moving from this relationship to another relationship. There are things that cause us women to stay in abuse. And I want to say today, plain open to all women, it doesn't matter what type of abuse you are facing. You should develop the strength to walk away from whatever that relationship is because it leads to only one thing, death. And because we have nothing or no proper system in Guyana where you can go or you can turn to, the human services, they are there. But how much are they doing for our women? Not much. You have all these budgets, thousands, millions of dollars going into the human services for all of these things. But where do you turn? You have nowhere to turn. So the best thing for us to do as women is to step aside. And mom used to always say, never let your partner know when you want to walk away from the relationship because not all men are strong or not all women are strong. So it leads to another aspect that we all cannot deal with. But
I am
let
not hearing.
let you not here. Let me go back to the fact that the things that are we are faced with in this country is all because the government has no proper system. They do not have no respect for our women, so they can do whatever they think they can do whatever they want to do, but not for long. And unless we stand up and unless we unite and stand up and say enough is enough, they will continue. Women will continue to be murdered or killed. They will continue to be abused. They will continue not to find proper jobs. We have young ladies who are security at the age of 19 and 20 because you have no proper, they're qualified and they cannot be employed because why? They are not affiliated with the government. They don't know somebody in the system, so they cannot be helped. So they have to settle.
Hi, good
We
day.
have 22-year old women with two and three
The
children who are
next, the
struggling,
next
and
boutique.
all of this is coming
Same
from
day.
because of the fact that there is
Yeah.
nothing in the system, nothing in
Yeah.
the system that provides or prepare for our women of this
Mhm.
beautiful country of ours, Guyana.
Thank you. MP Coretta, your thoughts. You're on mute and we should be able to hear you. Yes, we're hearing you. MP Coretta? I don't think she's having really bad reception. I may have to take um, operator. I may have to take a call from her instead. Let me just put the call in. Could we have a mic so I can just put it there? One second. So MP Coretta, you're live here. You can cut the recording you're listening to and let's talk via phone. Yes, we're hearing you.
Okay, good. So we're talking here about women, and we're talking about celebrating our women. But in this celebration, there are so many challenges that women have faced over the years. And these challenges go way back. And they're still prevalent now. Like you highlighted, non-appointment of prominent women in this society. We talk about the chaplain, the Chief Justice. We can talk about the late Genevieve Whitehead, who was never appointed as Chief Education Officer. And she acted in that capacity for over 7 years. And there are so many other women who have been acting in those positions and they cannot be conformed. I want to use this opportunity today to ask President Ali to please, it's long overdue, appoint these two women. You've already been given the go ahead or the green light from the leader of the opposition. Please appoint these two women. If you're really, really serious about the contributions that women have made in this society, and if you're sincere in recognizing the contributions of women, we ask you to appoint these two women. Outside of women being the non-appointment of women in their workplaces, we need to talk about harassment, sexual harassment in the workplaces. Just this morning, I received a report from a young lady who is being harassed by a senior official within our workplace. And because she's not giving him the time of the day, numerous letters are being written to her. So women are faced with all kinds of issues in and out of the home. And then when we look at what is happening with domestic violence in our country, leading to the death of many, many women across this country, it is simply because this administration doesn't have a plan. They have no plan for women in this country. They have no plan for children. They have no plan for men in this country. Absolutely no plan for the citizens of this country. And so I want to call on this administration to start doing something. Start educating our men. Start educating our women so that we can save lives. Too many women have lost their lives between 2020 and now. You check it. The facts are there. And so on this forum, I want to say to our women folk, there's an old saying that says, you don't wait till nighttime to light, was it? It just slipped me. But they were talking about if you can't see something during the day, don't wait for nighttime. That's the analogy. If you can't see it during the day, don't wait for nighttime to look for it. When you start getting signals of shouting at home, start taking note. When you start getting signals of hand moving, start taking note. When rowdiness starts happening in your home, take note and don't allow them to escalate and go further. But you know what? some of our women folk have got to stay in some of these conditions that they're in because one, society will paint them differently. Mm-hmm. Two, the system doesn't provide hope for them. And these are some of the reasons why women stay in homes and are continuing to endure abuses that can lead to death or sometimes leads to death because the system doesn't provide any hope for you. When we talk about jobs, are there jobs readily available for women across this country? Some who have jobs, they're getting the hell of a time in their jobs, like I just mentioned. We look at the technical institutes across this country. How many of them have women in those positions? In those positions, the demo.
And the internet is acting up again. All right. Thank you, MP. As soon as you get on back, we will.
What plans do we have for our ordinary women? And so today I want to call on the PPP to fix it right. Fix it and get it right so our women can be empowered, our women can be employed, our women can sit and make decisions, and our women can be led, can lead in positions, or they can be in leadership positions so that they can make decisions. And if you check it, women have been making very sound decisions. Mm-hmm. No disrespect to our males, but if you check at what happens many times, you look at the protests, women are leading out. You look at when there's a function, who do the cooking, who laying the table, who decorating the home, women. And so we must show respect to our women. We must honor them for the sacrifices and contributions that they've made to our society, to our country.
The signal, the internet, everything is acting up. Thank you, MP Coretta, for that contribution. I wanted to say, as we begin to wrap up, and I allow Ms. Ramsindo to give her view on this because I see she is back on. I want to remind this nation, when it comes to disrespect of women and disrespect from the highest levels, we have seen it all. From this PPPC government, we have none other at the highest, who held the highest office at the time. The current vice president, Mr. Jack Dio, had his former wife in uplifted commerce come out and talk about the level of abuse she was met with at State House. The way she was put out and she had to sleep on the outskirts of State House because of what he was doing. You had a minister who had said in front of the entire media, he spoke to an activist and said, I would strip and slap you. You had occasions where sitting ministers would have threatened women with guns in front of places like Palm Court, etc. You have ministers who are accused of rape, and we saw those charges didn't even get the time of a day. So we understand the people that we're dealing with in terms of how they view and how they see women. And therefore, I am saying it is time for us to take action. And I wouldn't call on the government at this stage to do anything. because I understand the position they're in and what they're incapable of doing right now. But what I will call for is that the women of this country understand what we are faced with, and that it is up to us to speak to our children, the young adults, our children. It is our chance to speak to our husbands, speak to our sons, speak to our neighbors, speak to our friends, and come together and tell them we cannot progress like this. It is time for action. So, in this year, where it is the year of action, that we go and do what it is right when those elections are called, to ensure that Guyana gets a government that will take into consideration its people first and not itself, but rather the people, the women, the children of this country, and let them put them first before anything else. That is what we need to come together to do right now. Miss Ramsindo, I don't know if uh, my technical team, is she hearing us now? All right. So I don't think she is up and running, but we have like 2 minutes to wrap up the program here. And I think it was important that I said what I said just now, because we have to understand that it is time for action. That's why I said I love the theme for this year: accelerate action. That is what we need to be doing as women, as we reflect on our situation in Guyana. We need to come together and we need to do what is necessary. I want to assure you, today's program will not be the only one dedicated to, this tribute to our Guyanese women. What I will be working on is to ensure that you keep looking at our social media platform as we highlight Guyanese women, past and present, their contributions, and so that we can bring tribute to them. A lot has been done by Guyanese women, and we need to continue to rep them. We need to continue to support them. We need to continue to push as we move forward. I will permit Ms. Simon to give your closing thoughts as we wrap up today's program. And of course, I want to assure my viewers that we will be seeing some of these women again, and we'll be talking with other women as we progress through this month of March. Ms. Simon.
Okay. Shanika, as you said, that the team is to accelerate, this year's team is to accelerate action. What I want our viewers on this entire country to understand, that one way we can start, or one of the ways we can use to start this action, is by making sure we vote this government out. We have to make sure that we see the back of the PPP and their supporters, their friends, their families, and their favorites. We have to vote them out. That is one way. The next way, we have to come together as women. I'm gonna say this again. Unity is very important. And this the fact that we're going into an election under the leadership of Aubrey Compton Norton, our leader, who I know is very down to earth, supports all, works with all, listens to all, and is ready to take this country into a new era. I must say that some of the things that we are airing out there, you all know I'm going to go on that, and I just need to step aside a bit, 1 minute before I add all some of the things that are being said out there, that is pro women, he's not for women, and then you have the ones who are saying that he's a sexual predator, and all of these names that are going behind. We, as women of this party, and I can safely say this, and Shanika, you can bear this with me, we have
Yes,
never
definitely.
experienced the comrade leader in no way or form has he ever disrespected us. And people are going out there saying that they need to be mindful of sending their girl children to Congress Place and all of that. We are in Congress Place 24/7. Sometimes we spend
Mhm.
most of our days there. We have women who are working in Congress Place. I must shout out to those women who are there who have never experienced the comrade leader in any way
Mhm.
that is not befitting of him. So
Mhm.
I want to say to all women of Guyana, before we go, we want to remind you that one way for us to accelerate is to vote and vote
Mhm.
PNU, PNC when that time comes, so that we can take this country forward at all means necessary. The team is there, we're there, we will continue to be the voice and ears of the people, and we will continue to stand up and fight for you as Guyanese.
I must say, you made the point about the leader, and I want to echo your sentiments. Sometimes when you listen to some of the things that are said out there, it hurts because you are somebody who is here, you're working with a team, you see the dedication that the leader has for this party, for the women of this party, the way he works with the women of this party, the young people of this party, and as he has done for decades in this party. And only because some groups of persons wants to have their way, they will say anything and do anything to tarnish a reputation that they can't, because we have seen this man is somebody who has been in politics for decades, and if he had all these things around him, he could have never lasted this long. And it is heart wrenching when we hear these things. And I am not one to usually sit in a public space to talk about these things, but I must echo your sentiments and tell the nation that the things that you're hearing, they're nothing other than some people who have sucked sour grapes and they're looking for something. But that, I will say this, we will continue as the women of the People's National Congress reform, as the ordinary women of Guyana who have encountered our leader, who has worked with our leader as he built childcare centers across this country, has trained many young people in beekeeping, in so many different things. A man who has taught at the University of Guyana, who has taught classes with mostly women inside of it, that we will continue to stand by our leader and we will work with him, because we are sure that he is the person that will help to take this nation to the place that it needs to be, where there will be respect for women, for children, and for the ordinary people of this country. That is who we will support as we move forward. And as I said, the team says accelerate action. That is what we intend to do this year, as we put in a government who will respect the ordinary people of Guyana. I want to thank you again, Miss Simon, for joining this program today. And I want to thank our viewers for being a part of this program, and continue to follow us on our social media platforms as we continue to update you. And as I said, today will not be the last. And we will continue to speak on the issues of women, and we will continue to represent the people of Guyana in our fight to ensure that this country comes under government who will be able to protect its borders, will be able to protect its women, will be able to protect its children, and will be able to protect our country at large. I charge you to continue to hold this government accountable. Do have a wonderful weekend. And of course, happy International Women's Day to all our women worldwide, and especially to our women of Guyana. We want to say happy International Women's Day to you. Do have a great afternoon.